Welcome to Everquest poison making video number 13. Here I'm actually making vodka. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to cover poison making for the Omens of War expansion. I also cover making augmentations or adding focus effects to augmentations. So a little bit of text at the beginning of this video. I'm going to close the video with some farming locations to like where to go. A little bit of lore is in there for the lore buffs, and I'll have some fishing comments with augmentations. Any criticisms you have, please feel free to leave. Let me know. I definitely, anything that can help make me a better rogue, I'll definitely take all that stuff in and try to improve as a class. So definitely, please leave a comment if you have any suggestions for me on improvement. All right, here it goes. So I included some links in the description below to Everquest Trader Corner. Everquest Trader's Corner is probably the best resource that trade skillers have when they're looking for recipes. And so once Omens of War drops, you have basically two arms that rogues can go down for their poison making, what they can do with poison making. And this is when we see Omens of War augmentations that rogues can add focus effects to. Okay, so there's the focus effect aspect of poison making, but then there are some new poisons that you can make. One of them is called Bite of the Eye Calf, which we covered the ingredients for in my last video. There's Bite of the Eye Calf. This is used for our epic. So you're going to want to make at least one of these if you want to get your epic 2.0. There are other poisons that we can make. They are level 70, whereas the poisons I covered during the Plains of Power expansion and before, those were level 60 poisons. Let me just click on Seeping Haze. There's Seeping Haze. So this is one of the new poisons we can make. It requires 2 advanced poison vials, 2 Girl Plant Spinal Fluid, Icy Geldrian Hide, and Scaled Dragorn Hides. So these drop off Girl Plans, Geldrians, and Dragorns. So these are Omens of War mobs. So what you want to look for when you're out in the Omens of War world, you're going to want to look for these mobs and look for these drops off these mobs. They're actually fairly common drops, but they drop off different zones. We'll take tours of these zones a little later. But it's interesting to note that Seeping Haze is a single charge poison, and if you get 10 of them, you can put them into your coffin vial that you summon from your Grandmaster Assassin Seal, combine them using the Rogue Master Sketch, and you get a 10-dose Seeping Haze, and you get all 20 of your advanced poison vials back. So this is another poison where you can use those quested rogue items. So those items that we quested all the way back in those original videos I did, they're still useful, so you really want to do those quests to make these multi-dose poisons. And so are all these other poisons here. Now, if you were to compare these against the poisons we made, they're sort of modest upgrades. They're worth doing as long as you know what to look for. These are all dropping off of Omens of War mobs. So in this case, a Chimera. They dropped in Riftseeker's Sanctum, Noctail. So if we can click on this, this actually drops off Chimera. Noctail drops off Nox, and Nox are in Dranic Scar. They're very easy to kill. It's a pretty common drop off of them. And Singed Pyrelian Tongues, these drops off Riftseeker's Sanctum. We could show you where these zones are. And I believe this is the fire side of Riftseeker's Sanctum. Riftseeker's has 2 sides, an icy side and a fire side. And this will ultimately give you systematic destruction. So anyways, modest upgrades. And I would just to compare the level 60 versus the level 70 aggro reduction. Here's Seeping Haze. This is the new and improved aggro reduction or hate reduction. And this decreases hate by 300 every time it procs. The resist adjust is 30, right? And it's a poison resist. And that's basically it. It poisons your blade with Seeping Haze, lowering your target's hate. So this is an aggro reduction. Omens of War era. Let's switch over to Dreams of Drusilla. Same resist adjust, if you noticed, and same poison resist. Everything's the same. It's just a slightly lower hate reduction. Okay. Given how often, you know, Dreams of Drusilla proc versus Seeping Haze, if they proc just, you know, the same amount, you're talking 50 less. So I'm not really sure if actually farming ingredients for Seeping Haze is worth it. If you're in those zones, and keep in mind the level cap increases, so you're going to be in those zones anyways, making levels. So if you're in those zones, go ahead and loot all that stuff and go ahead and make it. Especially if your skill is maxed, you may as well make it to have, and maybe save for those fights where you want to really pay attention to your hate. But you know, if you have hundreds and hundreds of nodding blue lilies in your bank, and you only have a few of ingredients for Seeping Haze, you may want to just stick with the level 60, I think. So again, it's sort of like a modest increase in what these poisons can do when we jump up to the Omens of War expansion. Another thing I want to talk about, just briefly, because this is a poison making video, playlist, is the rogues can add focus effects to cut augmentations. Okay, so some of these recipes are for some of those sub combines. One of these slugworms and a jar of acid makes slugworm acid, which we use as a sub combine for one of those focus effects. And so basically there are 21 categories of augmentations that are droppable, tradable, and attunable. And first, it's kind of a long series. You need to have an enchanter or a jewel crafter cut the augmentation. Once the augmentation is cut, then a rogue or a shaman can add focus effects to them. Okay, and I'll go over that really briefly right here. Alright, so let's just click on Celestine here, and you see, let's click the first one. Brilliant Celestine of Aggression, and this requires the components Brilliant Celestine of Minor Aggression and a white gold inlay. Alright, let's click on Brilliant Celestine of Minor Aggression, and this requires a Brilliant Cut Celestine. So let's go all the way back to the basic fundamental particle that we're going to need. So the first world drop, and I'm sorry these ads just keep coming up. So the fundamental particle, the elementary particle, what we need is Celestine. Okay, Celestine drops in Dranic A, the Catacombs of Dranic A, and the Catacombs of Dranic C. You're going to have to do these, by the way. So when you get a Celestine to drop, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to find a jewel crafter. A jewel crafter needs to basically have their skill max. So notice the very high trivial of 327. What they're going to do is they're going to take a Celestine, a gem cutter, and a hydroabrasive to make a brilliant cut Celestine. This gives spell shielding. Okay, so now that we have a cut augmentation that a jewel crafter has made, then we can use this as a sub-combine for a Brilliant Celestine of Minor Aggression. So a Brilliant Celestine of Minor Aggression requires either an alchemist or a poison maker, so either a shaman or a rogue, to add a focus effect. This is improved damage 3, okay? Improved damage 3. Alright, now the alchemy recipe and the poison making recipe are exactly the same. Okay, another thing to keep in mind is in Era, okay, alchemists have access to a slightly better trade skill modifier than rogues. All rogues get is a 5% modifier off of that Grandmaster Assassin seal. That's the best they get, but alchemists have access to a higher modifier. So if you're actually interested in making these, it's probably better to have an alchemist with all of their AA abilities and trade skills, like the alchemy mastery and salvage, etc. Have an alchemist or a shaman, have them do this final combine. You'll have a better chance of a successful combine. You'll still have a good chance with a rogue with a +5 modifier, but you have a better chance with an alchemist. So to make the brilliant Celestine of minor aggression, you need the cut aug here, and you need this stuff called trinic acid. Trinic acid drops off Treant flies. You need a jar of acid, which is store-bought. But Treant flies, this drops off Catacombs of Dranic A, C, and all these other zones, off all of these mobs. So these Treant flies you're going to need. This is a rare drop. So the first rare drop is the augmentation itself, the Celestine. Then you're going to need these Treant flies, another rare drop. Okay, a jar of acid to make the Trinic acid, which is the subcombine. All right. Then this reduced amber resin, the mark of aggression, and the dihedral burin. These are store-bought stuff. Combine all of this, and you get a brilliant Celestine of minor aggression. So now we have a brilliant Celestine of aggression, which again requires either an alchemist or a rogue. Use a white gold inlay, another a white gold inlay, and a brilliant Celestine of minor aggression to make the Celestine of aggression. This gets us from improved damage 3 to improved damage 4. The white gold inlay is here. This requires a smith. So you need smithing components: dust of discord, an empty vial, and a white gold ingot. A white gold ingot is store-bought. Empty vial is store-bought. So we need this dust of discord. Dust of discord drops off all these guys, including Merc Gliders, Discordling Workers, Dragorns off Noble's Causeway, Ruined City of Dranic. You look all this stuff up, they all drop a Dust of Discord. This is another world drop. Okay. So, white gold inlay. Sorry, I have to keep closing these ads. It's so annoying. I don't know how you turn these ads off. So, a brilliant Celestine of minor aggression, white gold inlay makes a brilliant Celestine of aggression. So now we have a focus effect of improved damage 4, spell shielding 2. Okay. Now it turns out rogues can make even better augmentations. But let's just go back to the main page. Let's see here. Sort by trivial. There we are. So those are pretty much the augmentations. So you have the initial augment that needs to be cut by a jeweler. Then the focus effect needs to be added. The initial focus effect needs to be added by an alchemist or a poison maker. The final focus effect needs to be added, but one of the subcombines requires a smith. So you notice how this requires a lot of very, very skilled tradesmen and artisans in order to make these things. So that's important to note. Now, my final little spiel on augmentations, at least augmentations that we create, are that if you're a very, very savvy investor and you like checking the bazaar regularly and setting up a buyer and a seller, you can actually work the subcombine market for things like the acid, the Trinic acid, which requires those Treant flies, and the slugworm acid, which requires slugworms. Sometimes just the slugworms themselves, you can create the acids, which are used in subcombines to add focus effects. And you can actually sell these for such a high price on the buyer side and work on the seller side and work a buyer to buy the augmentation you're looking at. And I've actually heard of examples where you're selling the subcombines for higher than what it takes to purchase the finished augmentation. So, I mean, if you're really savvy with money and markets and you like that aspect of the game, and I mean, there's lots of aspect of this game for enjoyment. That's definitely one where you can certainly get your augmentation without having to do all that stuff, just working the subcombines. But the subcombine itself does require some base level of skill. Just another thing to keep in mind, just another way that this game is fun for me. All right, let's go into the world and let's see. Let's at least see what will drop for this Seeping Haze. Okay, so here I am in Riftseeker Sanctum. I'm on the Ice Sea side. There's an icy side here and a fiery side here. And what we're looking for are Geldrian, icy Geldrian hides. Look like these. These drops off Geldrian frost blades. So let's just try to kill one of them here. And these guys like to run, so you gotta snare them. I used ligament slice on them. So just showing you where these guys drop. I actually have 28 scaled Dragorn hides, 5 scaled. He didn't even drop anything. I have 5 of these icy Geldrian hides, 28 scaled Dragorn hides, and 2 girl plan spinal fluids. So I actually need girl plans. I'd like to get at least 10 of each ingredient. Let's just show you the entrance of Riftseeker's Sanctum. So if you head up this way, here's another. What I want to do is just get these Pathers. Here's another Frostblade. He's hasted. But probably the Pather is better to get. These guys can still hurt me. So, and I don't have Annulus here tracking for me. I probably should have brought him. So anyways, you head up here. Here's another Frostblade. Looks like he's got a damage shield. That's fine. So the entrance to Riftseeker's Sanctum is from Miramite Proving Grounds, or MPC. There's a little clicky stone right here, and that'll take you to the central corridor. The upstairs is the fire side, the downstairs is the ice side. This is also where we get an AC Aug that drops. This is an AC Aug camp. A lot of these mobs see invis, so most non-Shroud of Stealth classes might have some difficulty here getting past the front entrance. So let's just kill this second guy. I don't think this ice skin will drop it, but let's just see what we can do to him. I don't think his damage shield's really touching me. Also, I have dot shielding, which helps with that damage shield. Alright, he's gonna run. Alright, I got an AA, and I got a Geldrian hide. So it drops off other Geldrians here. So what I'd like to do is get at least 10 of these girl plan spinal fluids, and I already have more than enough scaled Dragorn hides. Show you where those drop as well. This is the hardest place to get to, and you need faction and king in order ultimately to get some of the raid drops from Omens of War. So let's go ahead and let's go back and show how to get up here. All right. Okay, so I'm going to invite Annulus here. Invite, follow. Okay, let's show how to get up into an Omens of War area, or at least get it to Dranic Scar, which takes us ultimately to Riftseeker's Sanctum. I can show you how to get there. And we could probably do a little lore lesson on the way there, because this is really a travel video here. So what you do is you go to Plane of Knowledge, right? And like pretend like you're going to the library. Go up these little ramps, okay? And you know, your box will get stuck on these ramps, so just kind of get Annulus up them. So annoying. Alright, so have Annulus follow. Alright, go up these ramps, and you're going to get to this Priest of Discord. Priest of Discord is here. And you're going to say, hail, and you're going to say, wish to go to Discord. Okay, Annulus do the same thing. Wish to go to Discord. Okay, so, alright. So he's going to send you to this place called Dranic Scar. Dranic Scar, we can run from there to Noble's Causeway. Noble's Causeway to Wall of Slaughter. Wall of Slaughter to Miramite Proving Grounds. Miramite Proving Grounds to Riftseeker's Sanctum. So that's how you get there. Just a little quick note while I invis and stuff on the lore of Gates of Discord and Omens of War. So what happens is after Planes of Power drop, there's a new continent that develops. So after the Planes of Power expansion, there's a new continent that's discovered. It's called Telosia. Let's see, Telosia. The first thing you discover is you go there, and there's all these creatures that are very, very violent and have bloodlust and stuff. And there's three factions of these elves. Okay, there's these people called the Nihil. Okay, and they're like small elf-like guys. And there are three factions. There's enslaved Nihil, there's the Nihil themselves, and then there's I think they're called the Truxics. And the Truxics are the religious fanatics. Okay, so they're in this sort of religious, sort of sectarian conflict between the sort of, the non-religious Nihil and the Truxics, which are highly religious zealots. By the way, I'm zoning from Dranik Scar into Noble's Causeway. All right, so the progression to get you up through all the Gates of Discord expansion, you're really gaining the trust of the Nihil, and you're by killing the leaders of the Trussics. Those guys are Nakufiel. Nakufiel lives in this place called Inktuda, so you got to kill him, and then you got to kill this other guy named I think Vrox Bark Karat or something like that, and he lives in this place called Ukwa. Okay, and that gets you the initial keying to get into this place called Texfu. Once you get into Texfu, you realize that there's a nether group involved. You don't just have a civil sectarian strife. You've got this other group called the Miramites, and these are aliens from another world. And what they've done is they started enslaving species on several different planets, and now they're making their way towards Norath, and they want to enslave Norath. And the Miramites are led by this guy named Matamurum. Okay, you actually don't see Matamurum until Omens of War, this expansion that I'm running through now. When you go to Texfu, you go to this annexed Nihil temple. It's actually annexed by the Miramites, and what you want to do is you want to kill the end boss in that temple in order to gain access to the top floor of the Texfu temple called Tak V. And in Tak V, that's when we start meeting all the Miramites, the jerk-offs that are opening gates into Norath, and they're trying to enslave all of Norath. Okay. And so these guys all have the suffix to their name. The bosses in Tak V, the top floor of Texfu, the bosses are all have the suffix in their name Murum, which means they're one of Matamurum's either lieutenants or captains. So what Matamurum does in the Gates of Discord expansion is he sends all of his lieutenants, and he's trying to he doesn't want to do the job himself. And so Gates of Discord is ultimately a failure for the Miramites. They're unable to take over Norath, and then so in Omens of War, that's when Matamurum says, enough is enough. If you can't, I got to do this myself. He takes matters into his own hands, and he basically says, screw my lieutenants, I'm going to take over Norath myself. So this is the expansion. Omens of War is when you face Matamurum, the enslaved guy. And Matamurum is one of these guys that basically give the people of Norath, like all other peoples in the world, he gives them an ultimatum and basically says, look, we're going to basically, you can either be a slave to me, or you can serve me and join my army. So you can either be the biggest, baddest army on the planet, or you can be one of my slaves. So basically, when you're given that ultimatum, you're going to basically fight for his armies. So all of these different races that you see are all Matamurum's enslaved people that he enslaved. They decided to fight for him instead of becoming slaves. So what I'm doing is I'm tagging Annulus along, and I'm looking for girl plans. And girl plans drop this girl plan spinal fluid. These Dragorns drop these scaled Dragorn hides. So we already showed you the Icy Geldrians and the Ice-Side Riftseeker Sanctum. These are the Dragorns. These drop the scaled Dragorn hides. Pretty easily dispatched by Deal nowadays, but back in the day, not so much. So I'm just tracking these girl plans. I'll be right back. Sorry, I think I cut off there. So these girl plans are the same basic mechanic as Gates of Discord mobs. They hit hard, but they also die hard, and it requires burst DPS to kill them. So slow DPS classes, they tend to lose interest once Omens of War and Gates of Discord drop. They tend to lose interest in this expansion. So I mean, lots of strategies here with Deal and Annulus. We're outdoors, so Annulus can use Harmony, which reduces the reaction radius. Deal can use Fade Lure. So let's see. Let's go ahead and see if I can use Harmony and maybe Proximity Aggro. Use Fade Lure. Let's see here. Drifting Fog works on 75 and above. We'll use Drifting Fog. And so what we'll do is the Sniper Spotter combination. We'll go in here and check stuff out. Okay, I think this is just a girl plant by himself. Let's check around. Okay, see, there's one. All right, there's another. So you're just going in there and attacking them. That's probably ill-advised, right? So what we're going to do, so we're going to have Annulus swing around here, and he's going to cast Drifting Fog. Oh, he just got all three. All right, so we're going to just have Annulus engage. Annulus establish aggro. All right, and just have Deal swinging around. This is probably another way to do it. Aggro radius kind of bad. So this is another, so that was a mistake. Probably what I should have done was I should have gotten further out and used Drifting Fog. And I should have at least planted my trap, which I didn't do. Okay, still easily dispatched, but let's see. Okay, we got a girl plant Bile Sac, which will go ahead and loop the Deal. So anyways, these are the girl plans. We're looking for girl plans, Spinal Fluid. Anyways, that's what they look like. We need at least 10 of those, 10 of these Icy Geldrian hides, and 10 Scaled Dragoran hides. Then we need 2 advanced poison vials to make Seeping Haze. Seeping Haze is the upgraded version of Dreams of Drusilla. And that's pretty much it with Omens of War poison making. So we actually have, we have the augmentation side, and we have the new poison making side, and we also have Bite of the ICAV, which we can finally make. Bite of the ICAV is used for the 1.5, which is ultimately going to help with us getting our 2.0. A couple closing thoughts on Omens of War. In those Rift Seeker camps, as well as some other camps, I believe we do have AC Augs that drop. And there's a lot of hot debate about augmentations, which augmentations you should get, which you should prioritize. I tend to go back to the rogue as a class that approaches by stealth, a class that kills without warning and then escapes with minimal or no damage to him or herself. Okay, so I mean, you deliver death quickly out of thin air, and so it's hard for an enemy mob to develop a countermeasure against death out of thin air, a mob they can't see. So but what it also means is our DPS really depends on something else holding aggro, e.g. Annulus here, which has Flame Lick and Immolate and Taunt, and he also has a Summer's Dew, which increases his aggro significantly. And keep in mind, Annulus himself is no slouch in the DPS department. So, my DPS depends on something else holding aggro, at least until I have all my ranks of Chaotic Stab. Chaotic Stab allows me to backstab from the front, but when I'm dealing with backstabbing from the front, I have to deal with riposte and mitigation. Less of that. I deal with less of that when I'm facing the back of the mob. with heroic stats, you know, agility can strike through those riposts. Heroic agility can strike through that riposte. You know, it's just another complication of the game where we're talking about, you know, what to prioritize. Do you prioritize what the first augment should be? I tend to, you know, you want your rogue to be survivable, obviously. So AC is huge. I think it would be important for rogues to at least have a few AC augs, but you also need heroic dexterity, right? Mine isn't quite high, quite that high, but we want heroic dexterity so that our poisons proc and any of our weapons will properly proc. You know, we want a base damage with our knife. Base damage is very important. Right now I have +3 base damage, +3 back damage, poison days damage. We would like backstab modifier. Right now my modifier is 135, so it's at cap. Heroic strength, which raises the attack cap and raises melee damage. Heroic int and whiz, which will help you with AoEs. But yeah, you still want AC aug, and there's going to be a lot of debate among people that will say, well, you know, AC is the #1 thing you want to get no matter what, and other people will say something completely different. I tend to be sort of in the middle, you know, so, you know, I'm kind of designing a program here where, you know, I'm trying to see everybody's points, and, you know, I like looking at the AC argument. I like looking at the heroic int whiz argument. Ultimately, I think at the end of the day, you're talking about, you know, the difference between getting 1-shot and 2-shot on raid. Keep in mind you're a chain class. Chain classes don't do so well when they have to take aggro. Oh, precious. Well, at least I got a single. So let's have Annulus establish aggro here. See that? So something else holding aggro, and then deal then. So yeah, so when a chain class takes aggro on raid, that's not so good. Oh, there's a girl playing Spinal Fluid. So that's pretty much all I have to say with Omens of War. This is a great expansion. I mean, this is when we get our Epic 1.5 and our 2.0. And so, I mean, you know, definitely keep an eye out for all these ingredients. Go to those websites I showed at the beginning. Shop around for those ingredients. I would just create like a little notepad and just find out where the things drop and just start collecting them. It's definitely nice to have Seeping Haze in your inventory as opposed to Dreams of Drusilla, because it will give us more aggro reduction. But Dreams of Drusilla will still work. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Sorry. You know, if you have any opinions that are contrary, let me know, or any support. I'd like to know if what I'm saying is correct or incorrect. And all right, have a good one. Bye.